All right, so today we're going to do a deep dive into
Uh,
Berkshire Hathaway.
oh, interesting.
And specifically, the guy who's going to be taking over for Warren Buffett, Greg Abel.
Right.
And we're going off this Fortune magazine article.
Okay.
So for years, the question of who would follow Buffett was basically like the biggest mystery on Wall Street.
Yeah, it really was. Everybody wanted to know, like, who would get that position.
It was a total guessing game
Yeah.
until Charlie Munger, Buffett's right-hand man,
Right?
accidentally let it slip during a meeting back in 2021.
Whoops.
And suddenly Greg Abel's name was all over the
It's like
place.
like front page news, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was huge. I mean, Buffett's been in charge for like, what, 5 decades?
Yeah, over 5 decades. It's incredible.
That's a lifetime in business. So
It is.
understanding Abel is kind of like understanding where Berkshire Hathaway might be headed.
Totally.
So right now, Abel's in charge of all the non-insurance businesses.
Okay.
That's like the railroads.
Wow.
Even Dairy Queen, you know?
So he's getting a taste
He is.
of what it's like to run a diverse portfolio.
Exactly, yeah.
That's a pretty big responsibility.
It is, and what's interesting is Buffett still manages that huge investment portfolio himself.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
So like Abel's got the businesses
Mm-hmm.
and Buffett's got the investment.
Exactly, yeah. It's fascinating.
Yeah. So like what's Abel's background?
Well, the Fortune article kind of paints him as this, like, hardworking, go-getter type.
Really?
Oh, yeah, from a young age. Like, picture this, growing up in Edmonton, Canada.
Okay.
You know? Winters on the ice playing hockey, summers finding ways to make money,
Interesting.
delivering flyers, collecting bottles.
Wow. So like
The ultimate side hustle.
yeah, the ultimate side hustle. Do you think that's kind of how he rose through the ranks, like instilling that sense of drive?
I think so, yeah. It's fascinating to think about
Yeah.
how those early experiences might actually shape someone's leadership.
Mm-hmm.
In his case, I think that drive and that resourcefulness
Yeah.
have definitely played a role.
It's so interesting because like the article highlights this passion he has for hockey, right?
Yeah.
And it's not just a hobby.
Right.
It's where he like learned about teamwork and resilience.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious, you think those qualities are like essential when you're leading a company as crazy as Berkshire Hathaway?
That's a great question. I mean, leading a company that size, it's not just about the financial know-how, right? You've got to be able to inspire people,
Yeah.
build trust, make tough decisions.
Yeah.
And those are all things that you can develop on a hockey team, right?
Yeah.
You're out there on the ice, you're
Mhm.
working together, you're facing adversity.
So it's like almost training for the boardroom.
It's like a different kind of boardroom. Right.
Exactly. But one thing that stands out to me is that even with all the success, Abel doesn't seem like he's let it go to his head, you know?
Yeah.
He's described as very approachable, down to earth,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of interesting given, you know, the world he operates in.
Yeah, it's not the typical image of a high-powered executive, is it?
No, not at all. I mean, there are stories about him like coaching his son's hockey team.
Really?
Yeah.
That's great.
I mean, it's not exactly what you picture when you think of like a billion-dollar deal maker.
No, not at all. But it kind of reminds me of Buffett in a way, you know?
Yeah.
Buffett's known for that folksy charm,
Mm-hmm.
being able to connect with people.
So maybe that's part of what makes Abel such a good fit for Berkshire, right?
Could be. Could be.
It's not just about numbers, it's about relationships and trust.
Exactly.
And I think that's something Buffett really valued.
Oh, absolutely. And the article hints that, you know, while Abel might be similar to Buffett in some ways,
Okay.
he might actually be a little tougher.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a little more hands-on when it comes to managing the businesses.
Interesting.
Buffett was famous for giving his CEOs a lot of autonomy, right?
Yeah, tons of autonomy.
But it sounds like Abel might be a little more involved in setting expectations
Okay.
and holding people accountable.
So that's a big difference.
It is.
Do you think that could clash with Berkshire's kind of culture of decentralization?
It's a good point. I mean, there could be some pushback if he tries to change things too drastically.
Yeah. So let's unpack how Abel actually got to where he is today.
Okay.
Because it seems like his path to Berkshire Hathaway wasn't exactly a straight line.
No, not at all.
So he graduated from University of Alberta,
Mm-hmm.
started out as an auditor at PwC,
Okay.
and then ended up working with a company called Cal Energy.
Cal Energy, yeah, that's where he met two guys who'd be super important in his career. David Sokol and Walter Scott.
Okay,
Sokol, he's a rising star in energy, became Abel's mentor in deal-making.
got it.
And Scott, a close friend of Buffett's, he's the one who introduced Abel to Berkshire Hathaway.
Wow, so it was like skill and circumstance.
Yeah, a little bit of both.
Being talented and being in the right place at the right time.
Exactly. But he definitely made the most of those opportunities.
Yeah, he did. So Cal Energy, what was that all about?
So Cal Energy, they were like this, I don't know, breeding ground for talent almost.
Really?
They were snapping up energy assets left and right,
Wow.
operating with this very Buffett-like approach,
Yeah.
focusing on undervalued companies with solid fundamentals.
So they weren't just buying anything?
No, they were picky.
You had a strategy.
Exactly. They were looking for businesses with strong cash flow, durable competitive advantage, and that's what caught Buffett's attention.
Ah, I see.
So in 1999, Berkshire Hathaway invests heavily in Mid-American Energy Holdings,
Okay.
the company that would eventually become Berkshire Hathaway Energy.
And that's where Abel really starts to shine.
That's it, yeah. He's leading acquisitions, demonstrating his talent for finance, proving himself as a leader.
Wow. So he really climbed the ranks
He did.
from hustling kid to seasoned executive.
It's a classic story, isn't it?
It is. It is. And he clearly earned Buffett's trust.
Absolutely.
But the big question is, can he be the next Oracle of Omaha?
That's the million-dollar question, right? And that's what we're going to be talking about in the next part of our deep dive.
I'm excited.
Yeah, we'll look at the challenges ahead for Abel and what he might do to shape the future of Berkshire Hathaway.
Can't wait.
Stay tuned.
So we left off with, a pretty big question. Can Greg Abel actually live up to, the legacy of Warren Buffett?
Right. It's a lot to live up to.
It is a tall order.
Yeah.
But this Fortune article, it kind of makes it clear that he's stepping into this role at a really interesting time for Berkshire Hathaway.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they're facing some headwinds.
Okay.
It's not quite the high-flying, market-crushing machine it used to be. Even Buffett himself has admitted that those, huge returns from the past, probably not going to happen again.
So, the expectations have shifted.
Kind of, yeah.
But the bar's still high?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
What are some of the things he has to tackle?
Well, some of Berkshire Hathaway's, key companies, their subsidiaries, they're struggling.
Really?
Yeah. Geico, for example. Geico, okay.
They've been really slow to adapt to, all the new technology in the car insurance market.
Makes sense.
Think about how much the industry has changed, right? Telematics, usage-based insurance.
Yeah.
Geico's kind of lagging behind, competitors like Progressive.
So they're losing ground
Yeah.
to companies that are more tech-savvy.
Exactly. And it's not just Geico. The article also talks about BNSF, the railroad.
Oh, yeah.
They're having operational issues, rising costs.
Okay.
They got to figure out how to get more efficient.
So streamline things a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
So it sounds like Abel has his work cut out for him.
Oh, for sure.
You got these, older businesses that need a refresh,
Right.
and you got to maintain Berkshire's overall, performance in a market that's always changing.
Totally. Yeah. So how does he even start to deal with all of that? The article lays out 3 main things he could do.
Okay.
The first one is a more hands-on approach to management.
Traditionally, Berkshire Hathaway, they've had a super decentralized structure.
Okay.
Buffett was all about giving his CEOs a lot of freedom.
Yeah, tons of freedom.
But Abel might need to be a little bit more involved, setting expectations,
Yeah,
holding those CEOs accountable.
that's a pretty big change
It is.
from that kind of hands-off style
Right.
that Buffett was known for.
Yeah. Do you think people might push back on that?
I mean, maybe, right? I mean, some CEOs might not like having someone looking over their shoulder more.
Right. If they're used to doing their own thing.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how Abel, manages that.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so more accountability. That's the first thing.
Mm.
What's the second thing?
The second thing is kind of restructuring how Berkshire Hathaway is managed.
Okay.
He could appoint people, like lieutenants, to oversee groups of these operating companies.
So adding a layer of management
Yeah, exactly.
between Abel and the individual CPOs.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense, given how big and diverse Berkshire Hathaway is?
Yeah, I think so. With all those different businesses,
Yeah.
I mean, how could one person manage all of that?
You're right. Right.
A more organized structure
Yeah.
that could make communication better, more
Mhm.
coordination, better strategic alignment.
And it frees up Abel to think about the big picture.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got accountability,
Mhm.
restructuring.
Mm-hmm.
What's the third thing?
This one's really interesting. It's all about finding ways to make the different Berkshire Hathaway businesses work together.
Okay.
They own everything, right? Railroads, energy companies, ice cream shops.
Even furniture stores.
Yeah. All this diversity, it's like a gold mine if they can just figure out how to make the pieces fit.
Give me an example.
Okay, so think about pooled buying power.
Okay.
Imagine the leverage they'd have if they could negotiate deals for like supplies and materials across all those businesses.
Yeah, that makes sense, especially with like costs going up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then they're sharing best practices.
Okay.
Maybe the logistics people at BNSF, the railroad, they have ideas that could help those furniture stores be more efficient.
Interesting.
Or maybe the marketing team at Dairy Queen has a campaign that would work for another brand.
So it's like taking the best ideas from each business and spreading that knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not just about fixing what's broken, but also making what works even better.
It's like a system where the whole is greater than the sum of its parts.
Exactly.
But to do all of that, you need like strong leadership.
Oh, absolutely.
And a clear vision.
Yeah. And that brings us back to Abel, right? He's got this company with huge potential, but also some real problems.
Yeah.
Do you think he's the guy for the job?
I mean, he's got the experience.
He does.
He's got the track record. He's a smart deal maker. And he's got Buffett's guidance, right?
Yeah, Buffett's not just like walking away.
Right.
He's still around.
Yeah. And Abel's got a good team.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Ajit Jain, Ted Weschler, Todd Combs.
They're all really smart, right?
Yeah, tons of experience.
So it's not just him doing everything.
No, definitely not. It's going to take the whole team to make Berkshire Hathaway successful.
So you've got the old guard and the new guard.
Right.
Buffett's legacy, Abel's new ideas.
Do you think that could cause conflict? Or do you think it'll be a smooth transition?
That's a really good question. I mean, there will probably be some bumps along the way, right? As Abel tries to do things his way.
Probably.
But I think there's also a chance to build on all the good things that Buffett did.
Yeah, it's like renovating an old house, you know?
Okay.
You want to keep the charm,
Yeah.
but you also want to modernize it.
That's a great analogy. And in this case, it's a massive renovation.
Right, with everyone watching.
Yeah, the whole financial world is watching.
Exactly.
And this article, it mentions something else.
Oh,
yeah, activist investors.
Right.
And how they might become more of a problem as Buffett's control over voting rights goes down.
Right, right. For people who might not know. Can you explain what an activist investor is?
Sure. So activist investors, they're shareholders who basically try to influence the company's decisions.
Okay.
They might push for changes in management. They might want to sell off assets. They might even try to break up the company.
Wow.
They buy a lot of stock.
Okay.
And then use their voting power to get what they want.
So they're not just passive.
No, they're very active.
And why would Berkshire Hathaway be a target for them?
Well, they're huge, right?
Yeah.
And they have that kind of decentralized structure.
Right.
So activist investors might see it as an opportunity to make some quick money
Interesting.
by breaking it up or changing how things are run.
So that's another thing for Abel to worry about.
Yeah, exactly. Buffett was really good at dealing with activist investors.
Yeah, he was.
He could, like, charm them, you know, convince them to
Absolutely.
trust him.
Yeah, yeah. Do you think Abel can do that too? I don't know. He might have to take a different approach.
Okay.
Maybe be more upfront with the shareholders. Explain his strategy, address their concerns.
So communication's going to be key.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Especially nowadays when information travels so fast.
Yeah, things are different now.
They are.
Okay, so we've talked about challenges, struggling subsidiaries, the need to restructure these activist investors. But what about the good stuff? What are some of the things that make you excited about Abel as CEO?
Well, one thing is his commitment to renewable energy.
Oh, yeah.
He's been a big supporter of Berkshire Hathaway Energy's investments in, like, wind and solar power.
Yeah.
He gets it, you know, he understands where the world is headed.
It's not just a trend for him.
No, it's about the future.
It's a smart strategy.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, the demand for renewable energy is only going to go up.
Yeah.
And Berkshire Hathaway has what it takes to be a leader in that.
It's also good for their image, right?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Mhm.
Investors care about that stuff now.
The whole ESG thing.
Environmental, social, and governance factors.
It seems like Abel's trying to find a balance between keeping the core values of Berkshire Hathaway.
Yeah, like value investing.
Yeah, and long-term thinking. And also changing with the times.
Right. It's like evolution, not revolution.
I like that. Okay, we've covered a lot.
We have.
The good, the bad, the potential for change. What's the one thing you really want people to take away from all of this?
I think the big thing is we're seeing a huge change happening, like a historical transition
Okay.
from one investing legend to another. And with that change, there's some uncertainty,
Yeah, of course.
but also like a sense of possibility.
It's like a new chapter starting, right?
Exactly. And it's a big deal.
Yeah, it's Berkshire Hathaway. They're one of the biggest companies out there.
They are.
So what happens with them affects everyone.
Totally.
So as we move into this new era,
Hmm.
what should we be looking out for? What are the signs that Abel's doing a good job?
Well, obviously, financial performance is important.
Right.
Are they making money?
Yeah.
Can Abel get those struggling businesses back on track?
Mm-hmm.
But it's also about strategy. What kind of deals is he making?
Mm-hmm.
How is he spending the company's money?
So it's about his vision for the future.
Exactly.
Can he step out from behind Buffett's shadow and make his own mark?
That's the question.
And then there's the whole question of, like, what happens next?
Right.
Who takes over from Abel?
Yeah, he's not getting any younger.
Right. Does he have someone in mind?
Mm.
Is he already training someone?
It's like a dynasty.
Yeah, the House of Buffett.
Passing down the secrets.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe someday we'll do a deep dive on Abel's successor.
That's a deep dive for another day.
Yeah.
But right now, it's all about Abel.
All eyes on him.
The whole world is watching.
Yep.
So we've been talking a lot about, what Abel's up against,
Mm-hmm.
the challenges, the pressure to, like, perform.
Right.
But it's also a really interesting time to be taking over, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, think about all the stuff happening in the business world.
Yeah.
Activist investors, ESG,
Yeah.
all this new technology popping up.
Yeah. It's like he's stepping onto this moving train, and the tracks are constantly shifting.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the activist investors before.
Yeah.
The article talks about how they could become a bigger problem as Buffett's voting control goes down.
Right.
How do you think Abel will handle that?
Yeah. Well, Buffett had this way of, like, charming investors, getting them to trust him. But it feels like Abel might have to be a bit more, like, upfront.
Yeah, more proactive.
Yeah, explain his strategy, address their concerns.
Definitely. Transparency and communication are going to be so important.
Yeah.
He's got to lay out his vision for Berkshire Hathaway and show how his decisions are good for the shareholders.
So basically, he's got to build his own version of that, like Buffett magic.
Right. That ability to inspire confidence.
Exact.
But it might look different. Every leader has their own style.
Right, right. So we've talked about the challenges, the pressure, but what about the opportunities? What are you excited about with Abel?
Well, one thing that really stands out is his focus on renewable energy.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
He's been pushing Berkshire Hathaway Energy to invest in wind and solar.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just about following a trend.
Right.
It's about understanding where the world is going and making sure Berkshire Hathaway is a part of it.
So he's thinking long term.
Exactly. The demand for renewable energy is only going up.
Yeah.
And Berkshire Hathaway has the resources to be a leader in that space.
And it's good for their image, too, right?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Okay.
Investors really care about that stuff these days.
The whole ESG thing.
Environmental, social, and governance.
It seems like Abel gets that.
He does.
Just trying to make Berkshire Hathaway a company that, does good in the world.
Yeah, it's not just about profits anymore.
Right.
It's about sustainability, long-term value for everyone.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one thing you want listeners to remember about Abel and the future of Berkshire Hathaway?
I think the biggest thing is we're watching a really important moment. One of the most influential companies in the world is changing leadership.
Yeah.
Warren Buffett to Greg Abel. It's a new era.
And with that comes, like, a lot of unknowns.
For sure, there's uncertainty, but also so much possibility.
It's like we're seeing history happen right in front of us.
Exactly. And the decisions Abel makes, they're going to have a big impact.
Not just on Berkshire Hathaway.
No, on everybody.
So it's definitely a story worth following.
Absolutely. We'll be watching to see how it all unfolds.
All right, well, that's our deep dive into Greg Abel and the future of Berkshire Hathaway.
Hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, we hope you found it insightful. And until next time, keep learning, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.